Hey everyone, welcome to the Urban Robot Cat podcast. I'm your host, Travis Likens.
I'm Chris RWK.
Yeah, I'm Corey from Strange Cat Toys.
And we have a special guest who is getting announced at the very beginning of the show, which is a little different from normal, but we want to introduce Kirby of Rotofuji.
Hey, everybody.
So, if you're looking at the title of this episode, it's the one about CollectedCon. You know, if you're listening to Corey just pound away on the keys over there.
Sorry, I'm setting a push notification since we didn't make a social media post.
So Corey's over there punching things, getting things up on the old interwebs, but we are here to talk about CollectedCon. A lot of people have been asking when we're going to start talking more about CollectedCon. Well, today is the day. So we haven't been trying to use Urban Robot Cat to like pound, CollectedCon down your throat, but starting today, it's going to be the beginning of that. So CollectedCon is a convention where we're gathering some of the coolest and most exciting people in the world of designer toys and art in one place, the heart of the Midwest in Chicago at Navy Pier on August 3rd and 4th. And we will be bringing together all these people from around the world in one spot and having a big old fun party that everybody can kind of get together, interact with each other, bring their wares, talk about what they're doing, showing off new things, bringing new exclusive products to release. And then we got all kinds of other fun things up our sleeves as well for the show. But that's kind of the basis of the show. And, it's, we're just here to talk about it. So I'm going to let Corey dive into some stuff here. I think he's better at articulating some of it, but I'm going to gather my thoughts a little more before I talk instead of just fumbling around over here.
I'm the articulated one. We're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, I left the house at 6:45 this morning, and I got home for like 40 minutes before this podcast. So, and I got my kids to bed 10 minutes before this podcast. So here we are.
It's all that Dwayne Johnson power you got in your shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Travis says.
I kind of missed everything you said because I was posting stuff on social media. We're talking about the con. Yeah.
I basically told everybody it's happening. Here's the dates. We're doing some cool stuff. It's your turn to start talking about why we did it and why it's in Chicago and all that fun stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So if you caught our episode on DT4, we kind of went through this, but we can go a little bit more deeper. We've all done cons over the last 10 to 20 years between us. All have like just a few. Yeah. And I noticed that, they seem to focus on the West Coast or East Coast, but we all have a lot of customers and several of us are based in the Midwest. So it seemed like a logical idea to start one in the Midwest. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't one. So I reached out to you all and I said, hey, let's start a con together. And I think everyone initially said no.
I believe I said no several times.
And I was like, we're just going to do it anyways. You're all coming with. And so reluctantly everybody joined on and we've been putting a lot of work in the last year now, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We met. So we were talking before, but we actually met in Chicago at the beginning of May last year, and actually went to the venue. So it's been, well over a year since we started this whole process.
Wow.
So
time flies.
It's kind of that was my first visit to Chicago, and what a lovely city Chicago is, and what a surprise.
It certainly is. It's my favorite place in the world.
Yeah, I was waiting for Corey to just toss in some dig at New York. He loves.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Yeah,
it's well documented on this podcast in New York that Corey's not a fan of New York.
Maybe I can't, Chris. You said they cleaned up the streets and stuff, right? All the rats are gone. No more trash. There's no pee smells.
There's still no alleys, though.
I am not saying a word about anything. That's okay. I won't even explain what I saw in the last week. So we'll just leave it at that. I'll plead the fifth.
Okay.
There you go.
A New Yorker can't even vouch for New York.
Well,
I can't vouch for how clean it is. How about that?
Okay. You still planning on coming, retiring in Florida and taking tickets at Disney?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if I could be somewhere that's warm 12 months of the year, I'll be happy. I can't deal with this winter anymore. It's literally, it was so nice over the weekend. Now today it's freezing again. The wind is crazy.
It's the never-ending winter, right? My brother lives in Illinois, and he said it was snowing today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now in the Midwest with the weather, but yeah, why was it snowing yesterday in Ohio?
Well, did you guys see the hail in Missouri and Texas?
I saw the videos. Yeah,
Oh, it was insane. It was
busting
punching
up people's
holes.
cars.
Yeah, like it was nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, it was a nice 65 all day.
Well,
Yeah,
welcome to the Urban Robot Weather Podcast. We're back.
Yeah.
We've gotten back into the weather.
Always talking about the weather.
This is like a greatest hits podcast. It's like every topic that's been a popular conversation is back. But yeah, so back to the whole conversation about CollectedCon. So, Corey kind of came up with this initial idea. He convinced us all it was a good idea, and we started about a year ago. And we've been working hard to basically figure out how to organize a show. That's the first piece. We kind of all knew the big here's how you do it, but all the details are where you learn everything about doing that. And we've done a lot of that homework. We've done a lot of that work, and we've gotten to a point where we have a good variety of vendors that are signed up and available or joining the show. We're working on a lot of cool and fun elements to the show as well. So not just vendors, but the experience of the show as well. And pulling all that stuff together. So it's we're at a point where I'm like, man, we have a show. Like, a few months ago, I was like, yeah, we're doing a show. Now we have a show.
It's starting to feel like a show finally.
Yeah. It's and definitely
not just a bunch of numbers and expenses.
Yeah. Which are, that's always scary when you're jumping into something like this. But we've kind of figured it out, I think, at this point. So we're getting there, and we're kind of getting this show and getting it off the ground and really trying to have a fun experience for both the vendor and the collector, and creating a good foundation that we can continue the show hopefully for years to come. So that's kind of the goal here. And anytime you're kind of starting out, obviously you're trying to figure it all out as you go. But we are doing a pretty good job of that because we have, between all of us, I added this up the other day, over 50 years of experience between the four of us in the art and independent designer toys production, throwing art shows, all that kind of stuff. If you add up all of our experience, there's over 50 years of experience right here in this podcast. So we have the credentials to do
it. That's not saying much because I think I have 30 years on my own.
Well, then now we're up to 60 because I only counted you as 20 since the robot.
I started selling work at the age of like 16. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. When I started blogging, I guess we could add some more additional stuff. We can go back to 2006. So I can add a little more time.
It's 100 years. What are you talking about? Not 50. Come on, 100.
I only have 8, so I think I'm the lowest on the poll.
What about when you were the NECA store? What about that? We can add that to the list.
I guess that was only like a year and a half and very small fry Comic-Con Funko stuff.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. I haven't seen a Rocks t-shirt like that since I was 12. This is not really an old t-shirt. This is like a new t-shirt based on old design. But I do have a number of really cool old ones too, but this is not one of them.
So you're admitting you actually purchased that recently?
Yeah, I did. This one I did.
Okay.
It's a thing now. So all the kids are wearing.
Yeah, I prefer, well, this one, at least it fits like a vintage one too. So at least there's that. Like a lot of the newer ones that are like reprints or whatever are on the new kind of t-shirts that Corey likes to wear. And for us bigger guys, those don't fit right.
Speaking of shirts, Chris, you remember the guy I told you about that came in the shop that got your cub?
Yeah.
So I asked him what size shirt he wore because I was going to give him, a free shirt from your last show. And he's like, "Oh, what kind of shirt is it?" And I was like, "It's American Apparel." He's like, "Oh, okay, good." He's like, "It's the ones I've gotten in the past are like that really like hard, firm material." I was like, "Oh yeah."
The Chris and Travis shirt?
Yeah, like you got to walk around in a box. And he's like, "Oh no, this is much better." So just so you know, your fans like the soft stuff.
Yeah, I think it also depends where you live too.
there's definitely something to that. Like Florida people want those like breathable shirts. Us
Yeah.
cold people, we want.
Yes.
Yeah,
We need ours to be like workwear. We need it to like block the wind.
Yeah,
when it's snowing
exactly.
in March.
Well, because those other shirts, like you wash them twice and they're like cap sleeves. You look like you're either on steroids or bought it from Delia's in 1997.
Hey, it's Mecha Ducky. Hey, I'm doing pretty good. If I can get a word in edgewise here.
Oh, sorry. This is a Mecha Ducky also said about his Eddie Guerrero shirt, and I sometimes look at vintage shirts and I'm like, man, I wish I had that because it's like $600 because I had it when I was like 10 years old. So, and I know Chris has got like a stash of them, so he's got like a small fortune.
We'll have some shirts, right, Kirby?
I sure hope so. Yes. So we're working on a live screen printing setup where I think we're going to land at 3 or 4 designs you'll be able to pick from.
Nice.
And it should be really cool. And we're going to be working with a screen printer out of Chicago, Method Printing. And they're really great people. Dennis asked, how big's the venue compared to another con for reference? How many vendors you anticipate hosting? So the venue this year it's Navy Pier in Chicago. We're going to be in the Grand Ballroom.
Which is about 17,000 square feet. Which
17,000.
Probably rough to kind of like understand.
For our first year, we wanted to keep it a little more intimate and reasonable and kind of, prove to people that we're actually throwing a convention and not just trying to take their money. So total number of vendors, I think we're looking at, including Artist Alley, I think we're kind of hoping to bump up against 100 total vendors. Is that about what we're thinking still?
Yeah, so probably about 100 tables, but somewhere between 125 and 150 vendors if you add in like people that are splitting tables and splitting.
Oh, yeah. There will be a lot of that too. So, no, we're excited for the first year because even as a first year, because all of us have been doing this for so long, we've been able to get a lot of really quality vendors involved. And it's not just, essentially all like big dudes. It's the artists that people really love that are going to be coming out. And we're really kind of hoping to make this the type of convention where, you can come and hang out and meet these artists and talk to them and learn from them. And
definitely trying to get a nice mix too of people that are toy artists or street artists or contemporary artists, resin folks from places like the Etsy world, folks that like not everybody that you're probably expecting, but just a great mix of people all in one spot, and not necessarily just people from Chicago or even people just from the United States. We've got people coming in from Asia, and we've got people coming in from all over the place. So it's going to be a nice mix of people. It really feels like at this point. So it's really trying to focus on local, but also try to bring in people that you would see at other conventions, or maybe you haven't ever seen in America, like Mr. Bone for Corey. That Corey was nice enough to figure out how to get over here. But like you told us last time, or at one point, he's never done a U.S. show, correct?
No, they just started their first social media on Instagram like just a few months ago. But they've been selling Mr. Bone stuff for years over in China.
Yeah, so the goal is to provide everybody with an amazing experience with people from all over the place and be really eclectic and just really represent what's going on in the designer toys, street art, and then contemporary art world all in one spot.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a nice
stuff too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good discovery show. I've been to so many conventions and stuff, and you see the same people over and over, and I love seeing my friends and the people that I know and love, but I kind of missed discovering new people, and we're getting a lot of new names that, you know, we just discovered, you know, to come out to the event. And I think it's going to be a really cool aspect. Like, you're going to have the names you know and love, like Rhiniak and Andrew Bell and stuff like that. But you're going to see a lot of new people, and I think it's going to be really good for the designer toy scene, because a lot of these folks, I don't think, realized they were making designer toys.
Yep.
I think that's a definite fact. I get the feeling, you know, if you'd asked me a few years ago, I'd say, wow, I don't know, this whole thing is starting to really slow down, and larger vinyl especially is just like, no one's doing it. And that is true, but it has changed and grown, and it continues to evolve. And I'm actually really excited, having seen so many names sign up for booths or artist alley tables that are like, I literally had no idea. Like, and there are people that have been, you know, maybe they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years and are making really good quality stuff.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is too, a lot of these folks, maybe they were aware of what was going on in designer toys, or like in the, you know, things that we were doing, or, you know, folks like that, but they weren't getting tables because they weren't traveling out to New York or LA,
right,
to do some of the other shows. So you know, if you're flying in from New York to come to this show to be a spectator, you're going to see people that you've just never seen at you know, different at other conventions. Strictly because it's cost prohibitive for people to get a booth and then fly to New York or whatever. So we're giving an outlet for folks in the Midwest to hopefully help grow and build this whole scene as well. So,
absolutely. On my side, I think I can say that what Roto Fuji is working on for CollectedCon is a collaboration with Hebrew Brantley, and that's as far as I'm going to go right now. In addition to Hebrew, another Chicago-based artist, Bianca Pastel.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing what I think is some pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just the names alone are exciting. So wait until you say what the other things are, right? So, but from a UBD Toys perspective, I'm still working out exactly what I'm releasing, but I can tell you that there's going to be something with Chris. We don't know what that is yet, but there's going to be something with Chris.
There's literally a cat hacking up a hairball, like right there.
So there's going to be something with Chris. There's going to be something with JC. There's a couple different releases we could do with JC. There's going to be some Blake Jones stuff there. Hopefully the bird milk piece that we're working on is complete in time. We'll have something to do with that. We have Dalek, James Marshall. He's coming in. We're going to release with him, whether that's a print or a toy. That's still in discussion, but there's going to be some releases with him. And what I'm trying to do is create these collaborative prints, which I haven't even announced anywhere. So this is kind of a new thing, where I mesh 2 artists that we work with in maybe a toy fashion, or, you know, pin or magnet or some sort of fashion, and then work teaming them up together with another artist, and creating these, you know, one of a kind kind of things that we can bring to the table. So hopefully we'll have one of those at the convention, at least one of those at the convention as well.
Nice.
So what are you doing, Chris?
Me?
Yeah, what are you doing? Painting stuff? Or Chris,
He's
you're taking
doing something
tickets, right?
Painting stuff.
Painting stuff. You know what's funny is, you know, I haven't completely figured out what I want to release there, but I definitely want to do something different, something new. But I don't know. I'm just looking forward to be out that way. You know,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be,
and you're also going to be in Chicago in, what is it, June?
Yeah, June. Yeah, I have the solo show with you.
Yeah.
Then I'm also doing a mural project out that way in June. Also, I think the week prior to the show.
Awesome.
So it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to. You know, there's a lot of people, a lot of collectors that I have in Chicago that I just never get to either meet or see because I'm just never get to go out that way. So this year I'll be out there more than expected. So looking forward to it.
It's
Definitely
the
looking
Robot School
forward to it.
Kill goes Midwest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Robots will kill vacation. It's like a Christmas vacation or something.
Dude, this year is gonna be crazy. I'll be honest. I just locked in a mural project up in Toronto, so I got to do that in May. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be an interesting year.
Awesome.
I think we got you for October, right?
Yep, and then I got the solo show with you for October, which I already have people asking me about. So it's gonna be good.
Spooky,
It's gonna be good.
spooky themed, right? A lot of bones.
Yeah, just all bones. That's nothing else. That's all I'm doing. Just a whole bunch of skeleton pieces. That's it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me
I
too.
won't make a joke about bones.
Hopefully, I could get some sort of Bones Under Pressure exclusive for your show. That'd be awesome.
Well, we have to talk about that, Travis.
I need another beer.
We got to see when the opening is.
For folks listening, the Contents Under Pressure is currently up for pre-order. They are about to go into production. Like we've got to the point where we know kind of what we're going to order. So even though there's another week and a half ish on the pre-orders, but we're getting ready to get those into production here. So if you pre-order one, we are moving forward. The response has been amazing. We've sold more than we kind of expected to. So it was a good thing that we did a pre-order.
Yeah, anywhere I've gone so far, I've gone to a couple of different art shows over the past couple of weeks. Since we announced it, and pretty much every person that's all they could talk to me about. So you definitely killed it, Travis. You definitely.
Well, if I wasn't so busy today, I would have had it here I would have held it up. It probably wouldn't have worked with my fake background though.
Right.
I don't even know what would happen with that clear thing. I don't even know what would happen.
Right through it.
So, but that was our shameless self plug.
There you go.
I have a
Kirby.
question.
Oh, good.
As a lowly attendee with a plea, can you please consider the attendee experience as far as queuing, entering the hall, fairness? I know that always is a concern at cons and point of anxiety for us. So I think we talked about this early on after my experience at 5 Points last year, because there was a lot of people upset because there were people like getting pushed down and people rushing inside. So I know that it's something we've discussed that we will have a plan for. I don't know exactly what the plan is yet, but I think we talked about like certain wristbands and things like that, or not just like, all right, doors open, let the floodgates in, but just like maybe like 5-10 people at a time, and then so on until everybody gets in and not just like a big rush.
Yeah.
Obviously, safety of everybody is important as well. We don't want to kind of have any issues like that. And then also just making sure it's fair. Like if people got there and camped out for a long period of time and they're in the first place, they need to make sure they're in first place. Right?
Yeah. I would say, it's something that we definitely have in mind because all of us have so much experience, both as vendors and attendees at various conventions. And we've all seen when it goes wrong. But that we don't have a definite plan yet, because part of what is going to determine that is the total attendance expected and all kinds of things like that. But I think you can say that we will certainly be trying to keep it as fair and as easy as possible. It's not like we don't have it in mind, for sure.
Yeah, and once we have the plan kind of more formalized, we'll definitely be getting that out on the website, and then also via our newsletter that we're going to be sending out as we get closer to the show with all kinds of information as far as like instructions and all that stuff is concerned.
I actually attended a convention this last weekend, and they got a bottleneck of just like getting people through the front doors and getting their ticket scanned. And so that'll be a big thing that I'm going to be looking at, how we can avoid that scenario. But the venue is such that it's a good place to be. It's not you're not going to be stuck sitting around waiting in a place that's horrible. At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
But we really hope to minimize any
Yeah.
wait. Well, and
Definitely.
also there are VIP passes as well that are available that will help that if anybody wants to go that route.
Yeah. Well, and like to build on what you were saying there, Kirby, the space itself, it's at if you've never been to Chicago, it's at a touristy spot within Chicago. So there's a lot of restaurants and places to grab some food or drinks right around. There's also a giant Ferris wheel. And isn't there like a mall in there too or something?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a mall, but it's also just beautiful.
Yeah. And the scenery around it is just amazing.
Yeah. We'll be right on the lake. And, but to be honest, I don't anticipate having a lot of entry related slowdowns and issues, at least not for a first year. But it's something that we all are very cognizant of. Very.
What is that place?
I mean, I'll be there. So does that mean I'm having dinner with Corey?
I guess.
Yeah,
somebody else was telling me they were taking me to Boys Town, wherever that is.
Hey now. Actually around Boys Town.
It's a fancy dinner place, is what.
Oh, okay. All right, so they're taking me, or it's on me. I don't know.
I believe it was on you. Well, it says inside gets dinner with Corey. It doesn't say. It could be. It
doesn't
could
say
be
it's my treat. I think it might be. It might be Benny's treat since he's the one that posed the idea. Oh, he says it's on me. Okay.
It's on Corey.
Okay. Well, it's probably going to be Dennis then. I think Dennis is going to be the first in line for Dolly Oblong and Muffin Man and all that. I know a question. Yeah. I know a question that came up a bunch in my Discord is where in the city can I stay and why is it so expensive to stay so close to the pier? You don't have to stay right next to the pier. There's a lot of public transit. Kirby would probably be best to answer this question since you lived in the city for so long. So I don't know if you can speak on that.
Yeah. I would say, why is it so expensive to be close to the pier? It's Chicago and it's summer. So the way you get around that in Chicago is you familiarize yourself with public transportation. One of the reasons we picked Navy Pier is because it is so easily accessible by multiple different public transit routes, whether that is bus or train. And, I would really encourage people to look in places like near Midway Airport. Is going to get you within a 30 to 40 minute ride on the Orange Line, the CTA Orange Line, into the downtown area of Chicago, and is going to be, 80% less in terms of the cost as compared to trying to stay in the Loop. Yeah. Other places to look, obviously, are Airbnbs on the kind of outer edges of Chicago can be very reasonably priced. And again, it goes back to the easy accessibility of public transit makes this show really potentially accessible to a lot more people. And I know it is a little different than, like, I don't know, San Diego, where everybody tries to get a hotel room right downtown and walk to the convention center. But not everyone does, thankfully. But Chicago has a lot of we wanted to pick a venue that was really easy to get to, so you don't have to stay right next to it. I really think just look around. There's a lot of good stuff. You just need to kind of get out of the mindset that you have to be right next to to the venue.
Yeah. And then also, if you're dragging a few of your friends along, there's always the option to split an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And, a lot of us decon alumni have been doing that for many, many years, setting up either as a vendor or just going there, finding a place that can sleep, 8 people or something and splitting it out.
Yeah. I mean, as someone that has both lived in Chicago and travels to Chicago a lot now and stays in Airbnbs and hotels, I'm going to be not going to be looking for a place that's right next to Navy Pier. I'm probably going to be looking out in like Lincoln Square and some of the neighborhoods that are a little bit further out, but are amazing places to be in lovely Chicago, because you're always pretty dang close to downtown by public transit, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, just hotels in general have gotten kind of like crazy. So it's not. I mean, it's not like it's not just an exclusive Chicago problem, I guess is what I'm saying. Chicago is just obviously a large metropolitan area, so the prices are going to be more than like out by the freeway in Indiana.
Well, and Chicago too. Like a lot of the hotels in Chicago are concentrated in the Loop.
Yeah.
And so Chicago, for whatever reason, has less hotels kind of further out in the city than many cities do. But that doesn't mean there aren't still a lot of great options.
Yeah.
And the transportation system is indeed underrated.
Yeah, it's really easy. I've rode that train many times from the airport to downtown.
I ride it every time I fly into Chicago.
It's a really straightforward, and you just get on and you get off. It's not hard at all. It's not like New York where I always I get on the wrong one and I go the wrong way for like 4 stops, and then I get on the other one. That takes me already.
Another dig at New York.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna ignore that one too.
Well, Chris also does this where he flies into Newark, and then you have to take a bus, and then you get on a train. So it's very complex depending on what.
I definitely did not like flying into LaGuardia the few times I did that.
Oh, LaGuardia and JFK are the worst. I refuse to fly in or out of them. I just do Newark. Newark from my house is only like a 20-minute car ride, so
yeah.
Yeah, LaGuardia and JFK. There's been times when I've had to pick up friends at like midnight, and it still takes me 4 hours to get home.
So does that like prove that New Jersey's better than New York?
No, that just proves that they put everything in Jersey like factories and airports, so they don't want them in New York.
And football teams and like
football teams. The football teams.
New York, but they're in New Jersey. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Any areas in Chicago you would say maybe stay away from?
Chicago is one of those things where it's pretty easy to get crime data. If you're looking at a hotel or an Airbnb and it seems really inexpensive, it means you probably ought to look about where it's at. It's hard to give very specific, like stay away from this area or whatever, without kind of unfairly maligning some great areas.
Sure.
But I'll say, like, look at the rates, and if it seems stupid cheap, you're probably in a not great neighborhood. Look at Google Street View. That'll tell you a lot.
Right.
But Chicago, really, if you stay north of the Loop, it'd be hard to go wrong. But that doesn't mean south of the Loop is necessarily bad either.
Okay.
It's just kind of like knowing your surroundings.
Yeah.
like any
Um,
city,
I
really.
was going to say it's more like keep your head on a swivel, right? You know,
Yeah, I mean,
always be on the lookout.
it's literally like any other city in that regard.
Yeah. Yep.
Like as someone that lived in the city for 20 years, or their neighborhoods, I wouldn't get an Airbnb in. Yeah, probably. There's a few that, like, you know, you really don't want to get an Airbnb in some of like the worst gang-ridden, crime-ridden neighborhoods. But there aren't a lot of Airbnbs there to begin with because they're bad neighborhoods.
I need to let my dog out. Apparently, he's standing here whimpering at me. So you guys converse, and I'll return.
All right, yeah, go take a beat. I know we suggested people like splitting Airbnbs or hotels and stuff, and you know anybody that does not know, we do have a Discord and a CollectedCon channel just for that Discord for artists and collectors, you know, to make friends and talk amongst each other. And you know, if you make friends there, maybe you can split a place, or if you're an artist that maybe, you know, you're like, I don't know if I want to spend $500 on a table, but you know, maybe you can find another artist that wants to split one with you. Like, so it's a lot of resources there for you too.
And I'll also volunteer if anybody wants to post on the Discord and have me kind of look at an address or an area and tell you what I think about it. I'd be happy to do that.
Nice. Travis, that was super scary because there was just a
It
floating
just, like,
arm
phased
there.
in. Yeah, like phased
It was
in.
just your arm. I was like, what is this giant meat stick? And then there's your arm.
Well, you know, I am pretty swole, so. So, but yeah. At some point, I'll have to let Nacho back in. But
that was very fast. That was way faster than I thought.
no, we have that fenced-in backyard. I just let him go out and do his thing. He hangs out for like 10 or 15 minutes, then comes back. And now he's barking, so I'll go with that. So who knows?
Kirby, you said you lived in the city for 20 years. Can you kind of talk about the fun things to do outside of CollectedCon? So like people that are going to visit for the first time.
The bean.
You know, Chicago in August, summer in Chicago, just in general, is amazing because, you know, it's a city where we don't do a lot of stuff outside in the winter. And so when summer hits, everybody is out and having fun. We've got everything from low to no cost options. We've got some of the best beaches in the United States, as far as I'm concerned, on Lake Michigan. And, you know, people are like, beaches? I'm like, no, like, think about it. Lake Michigan's a pretty big lake. It's pretty much like going to the ocean, except the waves are a little different.
Right.
But there's, Benny knows a lot of stuff about Chicago too. What do we like to do in Chicago? Mainly, we like to eat. So there is literally every amazing food option you can imagine is available in Chicago. But for, you know, I would say for people that are maybe visiting Chicago for the first time and they want to make it a few extra days beyond just going to the con, the museum scene, especially, you know, given that most of the people that are going to come to CollectedCon, I think we can fairly say are interested in art. Both the Museum of Contemporary Art and the Art Institute of Chicago are world-class art museums. The Art Institute especially is, I would go there, like you could go there every day for a month and still discover new stuff. It's that big. It's that amazing. Beyond that though, like great music scene in Chicago. There's just a lot to do. It's summer, you know, it's summer in Chicago.
Yeah.
Blink-182 is going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Sheer volume of murals and everything too. So
Yeah, exactly. Like the other things you can do are like, you know, go to CollectedCon and then go like laugh at people that paid too much money to go to Lollapalooza. Point your fingers at them.
And then, but then you can get some good food paid for by Corey, and then go look at a mural.
One person.
Oh, and you can get a shot of Malort.
Yep.
Everybody should get a shot of Malort while they're in Chicago if they've never been before.
Don't listen to him.
At least one Chicago person will force it upon you if you drink
I
alcohol.
mean, it's true. They don't allow visitors to not try it, but it doesn't mean everyone should.
And everyone should go visit Roto Fuji, right?
That they should do. Yes.
Art Institute.
Yeah, the
What
Art
is AIC? I was like sitting there mentally like.
I mean, it's true. You're going to see stuff, especially in the more contemporary wings of the Art Institute, that is contemporary to what we all have done. You know, what we've kind of tried to build for the last 20 years at Roto Fuji is kind of an awareness and an acceptance of toys as an art form. And I think we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, I definitely think you've built an amazing foundation for what we're trying to do here with CollectedCon.
If you'd asked me 20 years ago if I'd still be doing this, I'd be like, right, no. But here we are. And
still doing it.
I'm actually really excited for this kind of next step for all of us, you know, because we've all worked really hard to make this industry, or whatever you want to call it, scene grow and support it for years. But we've done it separately. And, you know, to have people like us working together for the good and the long-term kind of growth of something that's, you know, it's definitely not a given that enough people are going to still be collecting art toys 10 years from now for us all to still be doing this.
Yeah. And it's definitely, you know, kind of adding to that, you know, you think back 10 years ago, Kirby, obviously lots have changed. But, you know, the scene was kind of dominated by a few major brands. And then there was a lot of artists that were working with those brands. And that was kind of the next branch of the scene, right? And then there was the resin people. And then people kind of doing their own thing. The scene looks very different today, where there's not like a few major producers. There's a lot of producers, and there's micro producers, and then there's like the people doing small runs of things themselves, or small runs of things in China or Japan or wherever they're doing them. It's just a totally different landscape. And something like CollectedCon allows people to have a hub and provides like the spoke right out. Where they can hopefully discover new things that maybe they're not seeing because the Instagram algorithm isn't showing it to them, or they're not checking things like the blogs, or the blogs can't keep up because there's so much stuff going on. You know, these kind of places can provide that outlet where everybody can kind of come together and see those. And that's kind of the thought process behind Collected. So we're a group of individuals that collected together to make this happen. But the venue, the artists and the sellers within the scene or in the event are collected together to bring everyone in one spot so that people can collect. So, you know, it's kind of the CollectedCon thing. I saw this question, which kind of spurred the initial thought. So that's the kind of the thing behind Collected. We collected together. Collectors are going to come and collect, and it's about collecting everyone in one spot and sharing what we all love about designer toys and the art scene in one spot together. So that's kind of that. And then the CollectedCon mascot, we had a bunch of ideas, and we were tossing around all these different things.
So yeah, Ocean asked, what was the thought process behind the CollectedCon mascot?
Well, so Corey already had a cat, and he was like, "We're having a cat," and that's how we got a cat. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not how it went at all.
And my colors are black and white, so the colors have to be black and white. So
it's all coincidence.
forced all this on us.
No,
That's
I
how
think
I
I-
recall it all happening. It all happened
think
just
I
that
looked-
way.
That's what I remember.
I think I looked at Kirby's Gargamel tattoo, and
Yes.
I was like, that's like classic designer toy. Like, let's do something like that. And then we kind of pitched that to Josh Devine, who created our mascot for us, and he bounced around with, I don't know, I think there was like 4 or 5 different iterations of different characters. And then
Well, we tried a few different animals and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was like a squid or something, or
Yeah.
yeah. But then I think, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead.
As once he did the cat, I think that was one that we all agreed on that we liked. I didn't
Yeah.
force it on anybody.
I seem to.
I think I'm
I
gonna
remember
Nacho get a third eye and then
suggesting a cat, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's all
But
right,
yeah,
man.
I mean, with Strange Cat involved, having another cat kind of made sense. I think if I'm remembering right, I mean it's getting a little hazy. I'm getting old. I was the one that said maybe we should try a cat because Strange Cat, and also everyone loves cats, and you can't have too many pussies.
Easy to do lots of colorways too.
Yes. And so we also had an idea about trying to utilize some artwork from Chicago, and we were tying in kind of the Art Deco theme. We kind of got away from that, but we did have this idea, and that's at some point in there is where the cat came about too, because there was an iteration of the cat that was more Art Deco.
Oh yeah, I
it.
forgot about that.
Yeah, so that's where the cat kind of like evolved out of. But here we are. So it was a Chicago World's Fair was kind of the theme that we initially were kind of looking at, and Midwestern beer from back in the day. Those
We may
like,
swing back to that yet still.
Yeah, we just haven't. So it was a good idea at the time.
We all been busy.
Yeah, but we got this cat, and we think it's really cool, and it represents kind of us, and it's really kind of a standout kind of character. It also makes a pretty cool looking toy because we're starting to see those tests for the sample for the VIP packages, and it's looking pretty good.
It is looking really good so far. I'm pretty excited by it.
And if you're following the cat conversation here, the question when we were on DT4 was, what's the name of the cat? And the cat does not have a name yet. Working title, Collected Cat. That's what we kind of call it. But we're going to let everybody name it. So there's going to be a point when our social media, once we have the toy samples ready to be shared, that we're going to let you guys vote on social media and kind of help us come up with what the best name is for this cat. So it's going to be a collected decision. There we go.
That's how the cat was named Catface McCapferson.
I don't think it's open for people's suggestions. Like, we'll all throw a name that we like in the hat, and then you guys will vote on it.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna. That's the name.
We could have a write-in.
Okay. That's the one you're going.
Yeah.
There could be a write-in one, right? Where you write in the name, and then if it's good enough, maybe we bump it into the list.
No, I had a suggestion, and I won't promote it yet since we're still we haven't put together the contest. But I had an idea for a name that I really liked. So
yes, decision by committee. You all are the committee.
yes,
Collected consensus. That's what we'll call it. A collected consensus.
The collected consensus. Yes.
Look at me getting collected in everything that we do.
I'm kind of impressed, Travis. You're in charge of marketing now.
The toy won't just be for VIPs. We'll have a regular color that'll be available for general admission or whoever wants to buy it too. Anybody.
Yeah, but if you want to get in on that special one, you got to get in on a VIP package.
That is a fact.
Be transparent and glittery.
Who doesn't
Everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah. So any other questions from the field here? You guys are providing us with the best content for this episode. So if you got any more questions, let's put it down there because we're kind of at a point where if you've been following along on Instagram, we're starting to reveal vendors that are going to be at the show. Not any kind of like details on what they're bringing or anything like that, but at least kind of give you guys an idea of who's coming. There's also a lot of updates coming to the website that Corey's been working on as far as getting vendors on there. We're also getting, if you are a vendor, we're starting to get the back side of the website set up to where you'll have like the vendor load-in information, all that kind of stuff. There'll be more information coming out on that, here soon. But we're kind of getting to the point where there's a lot of information that's going to be getting released because we are, it is fastly approaching the CollectedCon itself here. So we are starting to get to the point where you're going to start to see a lot of information coming out from CollectedCon on just like specifics of how things are going to flow, but also who's going to be there and what they're going to be bringing. So it's about to be exciting time for CollectedCon. I think when we initially posted this, it was kind of this nebulous idea of people like, what are they going to do? We're about to find out. So it's about to get fun. Oh, is there an after party taking shape? This has been a discussion. I don't know if it's official
we definitely
yet.
talked. Well, we talked about a pre-party and an after-party.
Yeah.
Shop, right?
So we might do both, but or one or the other. I can speak for experience from more from the vendor side. Nobody wants an after-party.
Maybe on Saturday, but not on. Yeah, definitely not.
We just want to go home. But I do think a pre-party is something we will do, and chances are it'll be at Roto Fuji. But we haven't finalized any details on that yet.
Yeah. Keep an eye on our newsletter. Sign up there, on our website. There'll be more info coming on that. So
Travis, you're gonna bring the plain white tees guy, and he's gonna sing "Hey There, Delilah" at the pre-party, right?
I can't guarantee he'll sing, but I think he'll be there because he told me he was going to be in town. So
tell him to bring his acoustic guitar; it'll be fine.
Just come along, bring something along. Let's see here. So we're getting more questions. Are we finally going to see Chris's face? Well, if you went to DCon, you could have seen it. He did occasionally not have his mask on, and everybody kept saying, I came here to meet Chris. Where's he at?
or talk to me all weekend and then go, oh, wait, you're that Chris.
You're Chris. So, the problem if you see him without his mask on is that you won't recognize him. That's the problem. So you're going to need him with the mask on, and then you can ask him to take it off.
There you go.
And then he can decide what to do.
I will have my mask off, I promise.
Let's see here. Ghost Fox is ready for all the parties. Beers on Ghost Fox is what I hear. Let's see. I've seen Chris's face. It's pretty cool.
Danger Bot, are you coming or what? Because Trash Panda's coming.
Oh man, Trash Panda, Danger Bot connection. They're gonna
have the reunion.
I was gonna say like Voltron, but there's not enough pieces, so they're gonna form like something that only has 2 pieces.
You got to bring out Vincent, so he can confuse it all together.
Exactly. Vincent said he's working on coming. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I know Corey said this before, but if you're thinking about being a vendor and you're looking for a booth mate, you can hit up the CollectedCon IG or email us over at info@collectedcon.com. We do have some people that are looking to split, so we can help kind of at least introduce you to.
Yeah, I had mentioned to them too they can jump in my Discord and discuss and DM with people or talk about it live, whatever.
Yeah, so always the options there. Let's see. There you go. There's your answer. Oh, I'm coming.
Cool.
Yay!
There you go. So, but no, we're super excited about CollectedCon. We hope that everybody else is getting super excited about it. We're about, like I said, we're about to start releasing a bunch of information. So some folks have been saying, what are you guys going to tell us what's going on? It's about to be now. We've got another couple of, we really kind of targeted for the April-May timeframe to really start.
I was going to say, we'll really start releasing quite a bit more information in April and May.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I realized that April is really only like a week and a half away. I realized that like yesterday.
Well, that's what I said, or May. Ocean asked, what are the logistics of putting together a convention from scratch? Did it take some convincing of Navy Pier about the nature of the convention, or was it more of a if you have the money thing? I mean, the logistics are just, getting space, getting the right amount of space, making sure it's accessible for your attendees, and then all of the
extra costs and like
minutia that goes with that. From the big vendor are people like display companies like Pipe and Drape, the people that set up the booths. That's a major expense, and kind of learning how to do that, and
more than the actual space, just
more than Navy Pier
Teamsters unions
was happy to meet with us and liked our ideas. I don't know if it's if you have the money type of thing, but I suspect that's probably the case.
Yeah. As long as you're not trying to do something weird, super weird or illegal, I'm sure they're like, as long as you can pay, you're good.
I mean, it's a public. We're throwing a private event that people are paying to attend. So as long as we're not doing something illegal, they're pretty happy to have us, I think.
Yeah. And also too, from their standpoint, bringing thousands of people over to the pier is hopefully going to generate additional money on their side too. So they're happy to have an event and work with us to make sure that we're doing everything the way we're supposed to be doing, so that they can hopefully bring more people to not only the pier but also Chicago. Get a little bit of bump for the economy as a whole. It's that's a part of these things. We don't always like to think about that as like art people. But we are developing an event that will have an effect on the community. So
and as someone that lived in Chicago for so long, I was also really pleased to see how easy working with Navy Pier has been. They've been pretty cool and wanted to have us. For people that live in Chicago, Navy Pier is kind of like a tourist attraction, right? If you live in Chicago, you don't end up at Navy Pier very often. And so because of that, like, Chicagoans don't necessarily think of it as of a place as welcoming and that they should go to. And so I was really happy to see that the people running Navy Pier actually are very welcoming and cool and easy to work with. And they're excited to have us there. And I think we'll bring a little class to the pier.
Yeah. I mean, it's where we're at in the ballroom is a classy joint too. So it's gonna make us look pretty classy too.
I think I'll wear a gown. Just Corey, are you gonna wear a gown?
Will they let me go to Boys Town if I'm wearing a gown?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I guess so.
I don't know. Tails might be like a coat and tails might be a good option for Corey too, because he could also like clean the floor because the tails will be dragging.
It's true. I know. I would make a height joke at Chris, but he's just going to tell me how he's like so much taller than me by that
like
quarter
all
of an
of
inch
2
or whatever.
inches taller than you.
I mean,
all that matters is I'm taller. That's it. That's all.
Yep.
That was always my argument with my brother. He'd be like, "Oh, you're so tall." I'm like, "Listen, I'm just taller than you. That's all that matters." That's it.
Yeah, I was waiting to propose to y'all that maybe, since we've decided the ballroom is our final venue choice, that maybe we should make it a black tie event.
Yeah, we need a cat with a monocle, like a 3-piece monocle, and then a top hat. We definitely need it.
I did start getting quotes from the statue people, so I can see what that would cost.
But no, it's a beautiful space. I'm excited.
Yeah. I remember when we first walked in there, we weren't really thinking, we weren't really looking at that space, but thinking back, it was kind of like, why didn't we consider that space? It's so nice. So,
we had aspirations to be bigger.
Yeah.
But I'd
being
still
able to
big.
Yeah, and being
gonna
able
be
to look out
amazing.
on the lake through the windows.
Yeah,
is just
I know.
amazing.
I'm
Just
actually
amazing.
really pleased that that's the direction we finally settled on, because it's absolutely beautiful. It's stunning.
Yeah. CollectedCon prom. Look at that.
So we have our prom
Yes.
king and
Yes.
queen.
Okay. Can we have a
That's
punch
Friday. That's
fountain?
the Saturday. That's the Saturday after party theme.
Oh, a punch fountain, and we get a DJ to play like bad. I don't know what era of music.
Well,
I
if
feel
we
like there's
got
got to
what,
be some line
All
dances.
songs from Pretty in Pink.
well, if Travis's friend's gonna play acoustic guitar, we could just have like an emo
Lazo.
under the sea kind of thing
Stop
going
that
on.
right now.
When
Yeah,
we were young, prom.
when we were
There you
young.
go.
And that's when we get our cease and desist.
Yep.
Look at that. Boom. It is so
Told ya.
nice. It really is.
It really is nice. Yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity. Like when we because we really haven't got all of like the venue graphics and all of, like the look of the show for when you're there is yet to be created. It needs to be done soon, but it's yet to be created. And I'm excited about how we're going to really mesh with that space.
Yeah.
If we keep not if, when we kind of reference some of those Art Deco elements and things like that, they'll actually feel at home in that space.
Yep. Definitely. So, okay. So I'm looking at the clock here, and we have just broke the 1 hour mark since we went live. So, Kirby, for your information, Instagram kicks you off after an hour. So we're now officially not live on Instagram.
Oh, no.
So we're still live on YouTube. But you know what we usually do at about the hour mark is say, kind of leave it open to the questions here and say, hey, if you guys got any questions, you know, toss those in the chat. In the meantime, we will continue to talk about anything that we may have missed over here on our side. And I think a good thing to do here is always for the people that joined late, basically to say we're talking about CollectedCon this entire episode. It'll be up on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the whole thing. But CollectedCon is a convention that the four of us are throwing in the Chicago area on August 3rd and 4th, 2024. And you'll be able to see some of the biggest names in designer toy art, contemporary art, street art, all kinds of different places, Etsy people as well, creators from around the globe, really, all in one spot in Chicago and doing the thing at a convention. So that is what we're putting together here. And then, you know, hopefully if you want to purchase anything like a ticket, that is over at CollectedCon.com. And then also, you know, if you're interested in being a vendor or a sponsor or anything like that, you can go over to CollectedCon, and there's a CollectedCon.com, and there's a contact form section where you can do all that kind of stuff. Or you can shoot over to info@CollectedCon.com, and we will get back to you on information for doing those different things. So let's see. There it is. Excited to see it all come together. Lost Links. There we go. I'm excited too. We've been working on it for a year, and it's like, you know, when Corey first started hitting you with the idea, you're like, nah, we couldn't do that, you know. And then now we're doing it, and it's really cool to see everybody kind of coming together, and all the people we've been able to pull together to do the show. Look at that.
That's why we're making with the Lost Links.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Hopefully we can plan an exclusive at CollectedCon.
Well, there you go. Exclusive information. Hopefully we can do something.
You heard it here first.
Now you said it. You have to do it. So there you go. Mm-hmm. I like how the background keeps like blurring out my teeth. Like in certain spots, like
they're just so white.
In and out. Yeah, well, there you go.
Does that mean your teeth are green?
Probably.
No.
Yeah. Look at that.
Ooh.
I think it's just like the shadow because like I leaned forward and that's when it started doing it. So, but okay, well, not a lot of questions popping up, so I think we're probably due to start wrapping this show up. Unless you guys have anything that you want to talk about that I haven't.
Gosh, I can't think of anything we didn't cover. I think I probably speak for all of us in saying that we weren't sure if we could make this happen. And to see it really start to come together the last couple months has been really gratifying. Like, I was looking through the vendor list and I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. Like, we're starting to get a really good mix of things that are both where designer toys have been and where they're going.
100% agree.
Really excited by it.
Chris, any final thoughts?
I apologize. I final thoughts. I mean, I'm just excited. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, years ago when we were doing an episode, Corey threw the idea out there, and it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, okay, Corey, I think you're a little crazy and a little too ambitious, and here we are now, only a few months away, and it's gonna happen.
I think Corey tried to convince me then that we should do it.
I'm pretty sure he called me then,
and I said no.
Yeah, I think he called me and was like, "Hey, I was serious. Like,
I'm not fucking around."
And if anybody's curious, like, why we were all so hesitant to do this, we've all been involved in these things. We've seen how much work they are. Yeah. This is not, and we're not doing it to make a ton of money. If anything, we might lose some money.
We're losing money.
We're doing it because we saw a need for it and that it will benefit all of us long term to serve the people in the Midwest that have been collecting designer toys and art for the last 20 years, but haven't been able to drive to a convention.
Yeah, and post COVID, everything's kind of changed, and I think it's really the perfect time to start something new.
Yeah,
because people are starting to get back out, people are starting to go again, but some people haven't wanted to still travel cross country. So we're serving an audience that hasn't had an outlet like this, except for really, Kirby's store. Yep. Unless they wanted to travel.
And the fact that we're still there 20 years ago is probably a pretty good testament to the fact that the Midwest likes art and toys. So I really think it's going to be good both for attendees and vendors.
Yeah, if you're an artist, there's already a base out there.
So Moylan asked, who are some of the big names attending? If you've already talked about it, I'll watch the replay. We didn't talk about too many specific names. I think Travis talked a little bit about the fact that over the next several weeks, we're going to start promoting more the vendors that will be attending for certain and have a complete vendor list on the website and that sort of thing. But it's our goal to kind of have all of that sort of stuff done late April or sometime in May.
There's a vendor. There's a vendor announcement page on the website too. So if you want to see some of the people that we've announced on Instagram and haven't, they're all up there. But I mean,
Corey, you want to throw some names out real quick?
Andrew Bell, I think is a really big name. Who doesn't travel to many cons. I think it's hard to get Andrew out of New York.
Chris Reiniak
and Amanda
Louise Haig.
Horrible Adorables, Dolly Oblong, Muffin Man, Deadbeat City, I think. He said yes, but yeah, I got a Goop Master.
Yeah.
Mr. Bone,
and
Zentiers, and Porin.
I was gonna say Porin, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
talked a little bit about the fact that what I'm working on for the Roto Fuji booth is a collaboration with Hebrew Brantley.
Yep.
And Bianca Pastel, who's another Chicago-based artist.
Yeah, JC Rivera, Blake Jones, they're going to be involved. Dalek, James Marshall's going to be there. Chris is going to be there. Chris RWK. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
UVD Toys, Rotofugi, we're all going to be there.
I'll be there.
So what's pretty funny is I think I told Travis the other day is I was at one of my art shows on Thursday, and somebody's talking to me and they're like, "Oh, so are you going to go to Chicago for that convention?" And I was like, "Which one?" He was like, "Oh, I forget the name of it. I think Collected." I go, "CollectedCon?" I go, "Yeah, I'll be there." He's like, "Oh, cool." He's like, I said, "Am I going?" I said, "Yeah, you realize I'm part of the who's throwing it, right?" And they're like, "Oh no, I didn't realize that." I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, it's typical Chris luck,
Yeah, and also I think it's important to point out that a part of the show, the goal here is to have not only the vendors but also things going on at the show. So just because somebody's not a vendor doesn't mean we're still not working to get them involved somehow, whether that's an art show or live art or those kind of things.
Well, and also it's not only about the big names.
Yep.
We're really while we are a curated show, i.e., like people have to apply to be a vendor, and we don't say yes to everyone.
Yeah.
We have put intentional, with some intentional effort, we're trying to have newer, fresher faces alongside some of these artists that you've known and collected for 20 years, because collecting works best when you're constantly growing and changing and collecting new things.
And there's a lot of people doing cool stuff, out there that isn't necessarily like on all the blogs or in everybody's peripheral or even their Instagram algorithms or anything like that. That it's designer toys, or they'll know they're doing designer toys. Maybe they're doing them, they just don't know it. But people that are doing things that are kind of like adjacent, but it's art that's like really cool stuff that I look at sometimes and feel like, man, this would work with the people that buy stuff from me. How do I bring that into what I'm doing? And CollectedCon's a new outlet for me to be able to do that too, because now I can let them showcase alongside people that are doing all this stuff, and hopefully they can find new ways to work and collaborate with other people too.
Yeah, one of those is that Gleason Woodworks guy who does like the hand wood carvings. Like,
yeah,
very, very cool stuff.
Yeah.
Dennis asked, is Arctic Fox making a cameo? She can't because she has a family trip that weekend, but we will have Arctic Fox maybe exclusive. So there'll be a presence of her at the show.
Let's see. We got somebody said Muffin Man. They're going to be there. So
people.
It's going to be cool, and I can't wait to get everybody not only sharing who's going to be there, but I'm excited to see what people are going to bring on top of that. Because it's one thing to say this person's going to be there, but it gets even more exciting when you're like, wow, this is what they're bringing. So okay, well, I think it's time we wrap this episode of Urban Robot Cat up. Chris, if you want to toss out where everybody can find you on social media.
At Chris RWK.
And Corey?
Strange Cat Toys on all social medias, strangecattoys.com.
And Kirby?
At Roto Fuji on pretty much every social media, and rotofuji.com.
And I'm Travis Likens. You can find me at UVD Toys or UVDtoys.com. This podcast has been about CollectedCon. You can check us out over on Instagram at CollectedCon. You're going to want to follow over there so you can get in on that naming contest for the mascot, but then also just to keep up with all the cool vendor reveals and all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions and specifics you want any answers on, you can always shoot us an email at info@collectedcon.com. So this has been the Urban Robot Cat podcast, the show about art and the people who make it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
And